Greyzone Warfare is beginning to ramp up the teasers for its first major content update planned for later this year. Now, while this is different to the many performance patches we're getting frequently, this will be their first attempt to draw a lot of players back to the game and give them a ton more content to have fun with. So what can we expect from this update? The biggest thing that we all know that's coming is a day-night cycle, and this is clearly teased through social posts of work with NVGs and other attachments that would be necessary for any sort of overhaul. This will completely change how the game is played and add much more variety to your encounters and how you plan each adventure. A lot will obviously depend on the speed that time passes, and we don't know that yet, but it's definitely going to be an overhaul to your Greyzone experience. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the potential introduction of a mechanic that will change the game, particularly in the PvP servers, and will significantly improve everyone's experience, and that is strobe lights. In this Twitter post highlighting the devs analyzing real-world equipment that will be in the game, you can clearly see two helmets with IR strobes attached to the top of them. This is something that most of us, I'm sure, are familiar with, but the idea is that these strobes blink either in a visible spectrum of light or IR light, infrared light, so that you can be detected ideally by friendly forces and reduce the blue-on-blue contact or team killing, or in some circumstances in search and rescue missions to aid in locating of a person. As an example, if you're not sure, this is from obviously Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and you can see the IR strobes blinking on the friendly players, indicating not to engage them. By adding faction strobe lighting, ideally in both IR and visible light, that would make the experience much more satisfying and realistic, in all honesty. The challenge with not being able to identify friendlies in tactical shooters, in my opinion, is that in real life you can really recognize what somebody looks like, especially someone on your own team who you probably know pretty well. In a game, everyone looks the same, especially at the moment where every faction is wearing the same camouflage pattern. Now, I really hope this is an intentional leak, but time will tell because they haven't actually, to my knowledge, said anything about the highlighting of friendlies. Next up, we have lasers and flashlights. You can easily see them showing these off as attachments for weapons. This will be a really great quality of life update. I'm sure flashlights will be the budget attachment to let you play at night, because obviously you don't want anyone basically not be able to play when it's nighttime because it's pitch black. Especially because I'm hoping or assuming that night vision will probably be quite expensive in the game to help with the late game economy. Flashlights are also a nice counter to NVGs, as they will inevitably have that blinding effect that can really level the playing field. Meanwhile, lasers will make point firing, which is already very effective in Greyzone Warfare but not used all that often that I see, even more useful, particularly when using something like an IR laser with your night vision at the same time, and it'll also give you those really cool cinematic moments. NVGs, this is the obvious one, but we can clearly see an array of night vision goggles on display in the social media posts, and really you couldn't do a day-night cycle without night vision. What is interesting is that they're really highlighting how closely they're working with real-world operators and product developers such as Night Gear Solutions to understand exactly how NVGs work and how they look. Personally, I've never experienced night vision, but I've heard and seen enough to know most games get it completely wrong. What's interesting here is how in-depth will the night vision be? Is it going to be a case that maybe your night vision has a battery life that you have to be conscious of? I don't know how long NVGs last, how long to increase the challenge, so you can't just go around with your night vision on the whole time, or you need something like the ability to change batteries. Finally, there's something that hasn't been directly teased, but would be a really interesting addition, and that is thermals. When I researched the company Night Gear Solutions, who have done their own social posts as well as been included in the Greyzone Warfare posts, I had a quick look through their products, and one of the things they do sell is a thermal solution alongside their night vision. Basically an attachment that would go over your night vision goggle to give you thermal vision. Again, if I'm completely wrong here, apologies, that's how it looks to work for me. Is this something we could see come into the game? It is certainly realistic, but it obviously adds the issue of balance in a game, as thermals in a PvP game can be extremely powerful and take away from the fun of the game. I know anyone who's played Escape from Tarkov will know the feeling of just getting shot in the pitch black from miles away because someone has a thermal scope, and you feel like it's a bit cheesy. If they are added, I would like to see them become very expensive and therefore relatively uncommon and a late game item. But I'm definitely not against them being in the game, because obviously it's something that is realistic and appropriate to the setting. But something Escape from Tarkov actually does quite nicely with thermals is you have really low FPS when you're looking through them, which can increase the challenge of actually using them and take away some of the advantage. Finally, my last thought is that with such a large overhaul to the in-game mechanics and items, I would expect a wipe of all progress, as I'd be surprised if they didn't add in new quests and other content as well, as what I've mentioned above. And also, if you've already got people with a ton of money who would then be able to go and buy like all the best night vision, maybe thermals, that sort of stuff, it would make new players' experience much more difficult when you've got these chads running around with the best gear. Anyway, love to hear your thoughts on all the above, and as always, leave a like if you enjoyed it, dislike if you didn't, and subscribe for more. Cheers guys.